This is Kiss the Reviews. I'm Sir Armando. That's Sir Corey. And welcome to 1993's Jurassic Park.
We spared no expense, except for on that fucking accent of yours.
I apologize. I can't do the Scotsman. I can't do a Scottish accent, so I went with the closest thing I could get.
It didn't require any discipline to attain it.
If you guys want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's. You can follow Corey at Idle Poncho. And let's get into 1993's Jurassic Park. This movie stars Sam Neill as Alan Grant, Laura Dern as Ellie Sattler, Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm, and Sir Richard Attenborough as John Hammond, with special appearances by Wayne Knight as Nedry, or as I will affectionately refer to him on the show, Newman, and Samuel L. Jackson as Arnold.
Two things before we get too far into the weeds here. First, it's easy to bag on all the science. So just as a blanket statement for this, none of the science makes sense. Go into this like it's fucking Star Trek and it's science fiction.
Fair enough.
Because if you get into the weeds on that, immediately once they start explaining DNA, you're like, well, this is fucking bullshit, and you're going to want to walk away. So just understand it's science fiction,
yes,
and move past it.
Exactly.
Second thing, I think I found myself to be very conflicted at this point because I don't know who I was more attracted to, Dr. Sadler or Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Listen, as far as characters go, Jeff Goldblum in this as Dr. Malcolm, guy's a sexy bitch in this one.
Dude, he is.
With the leather and he's the rock star mathematician, scientist guy.
He was like some weird pre-Tony Stark character that just is like, I don't know about nerd stuff, but that was sexy as shit.
Hell yes.
So let's kick off this movie because it opens with them at the park loading a crate with a quote-unquote animal in it. Spoiler alert, there's a dinosaur in it, FYI. So yes. The dinosaur, they open the crate, the dinosaur grabs a guy, eats a guy. Flash to them finding a mosquito, a fossilized mosquito at the dig site.
And the most well-traveled lawyer that has ever existed.
Yes.
And you would think at some point in time throughout his journeys, he would learn to adapt to his environment a little bit better than like a suit on top and shorts on the bottom.
Yes.
Like that's as far as his adventure gear went, was shorts.
Exactly. Well, and here's the thing with the lawyer, and this is what I find funny about the lawyer character in this, is has nobody, has this been a big secret to the lawyer? Because the lawyer seems to, I don't know, be involved with the company and the dig sites and the park, and he's not excited about, he's like, I'm going to shut this shit down, period. The entire time until he sees have they not said, this is what we do. We take the blood from the mosquito and we blood, have they not walked him through and at the end give him the big reveal, which is, and we created dinosaurs.
Right. The lawyer is activated because the guy in the beginning, one of the workers in the beginning, dies.
Yes.
And so he says he's there on behalf of John Hammond's investors.
Yes.
To make sure that the park is actually going to be insurable and safe for guests. What part? Where do you think you're going? Six Flags? How do you know nothing about what's happening here? Like, how did nobody prepare you for what is about to happen?
He's ill-equipped for the travel and the clothing, and he's also just ill-equipped as a lawyer. Like, he has zero information to go on. So
right, they make him is one of the few on-screen deaths, especially for a speaking character.
Yeah,
they make him very killable.
Oh, absolutely. They cut to Grant at his excavation site and his team digging up fossils and whatever. Grant creepily scaring the kid who's asking questions at the excavation site. And just out of curiosity, doesn't this son of a bitch have school? Why is there a kid at the excavation site?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm around something so precious that, like, blowing wind can ruin my whole dig, I'm not letting that little 12-year-old shit anywhere near. Especially when he's just such a condescending prick that he's going to be like, "Meh, doesn't look so scary to me."
More like a 6-foot turkey.
Grant, totally in the right scaring the shit out of this kid. Because you need to learn some lessons about life, son. And what happens when you open your fucking mouth out of turn. Second thing is, they make it seem like Laura Dern's character, Sadler, has like this maternal instinct. Like, she's the one that really is pushing for kids, and Grant's just really awkward.
Yep.
But the kid smarts off. Grant's like, "Oh, okay." I'm whipping out my raptor claw. Starts walking towards him. And Ellie Sadler's just like, "Oh, here we go. You're not a good mother either. Neither of you should be anywhere near children." And that's fine, because that child should not be at that fucking dig site unless he's like some runaway in Montana. He should not be there.
John Hammond shows up at the dig site. They don't know who the hell this dude is. He just flies in on a helicopter. He gets there and he asks Grant and Ellie to sign off on the park. Says he'll fully fund their dig for 3 years if they come with him. First PSA of this show: if a man or woman shows up to whatever job you're doing, and especially, excavation sites can get a little pricey. So you don't know this person. They're obviously rich. They're wearing a fedora, and they say, "I need you to sign off on this thing, so come with me for a little bit, and I'll give you all this money for the next 3 years to fund whatever project you're working." Don't go with this man.
No. Watch A Decent Proposal to see how that turns out.
Yeah. Nothing good ever happens in that situation when you say yes. So just politely say, "Oh, Sir Attenborough, we politely decline. Get the fuck out of here on your goddamn helicopter." But they say yes, and they go with the guy.
And can we also say, as far as character introductions go, this is by far the worst, because the first shot you see of Sir Richard, how do you do, is his ass bent over in a refrigerator in white-ass pants and his goddamn panty line running down. Ain't nobody paying $6 to go see that shit in 1993 or 4 or whatever year this came out. They're not doing that. That's not what they signed up for. That was fucking disgusting. I'm like, first off, this movie's taking place after Labor Day. Let's start there. What the fuck are you wearing all white for? Second, you have one outfit the whole time. Are you a James Bond villain? You only have like a white jumpsuit?
Listen, he wore his white linens. Okay, he just got back from P. Diddy's white party, and because those were popular in '93.
Those were.
He literally just flew from that to here to the park. He didn't got time to change. Come on now.
You know what? I'll give you that. He was at a white party. I accept that plausible plot line.
So they go with him, get in the helicopter. They fly over to the island. During this, we intro Newman doing a deal with a dude to steal dino embryos from Jurassic Park for some strange reason. Yes, man up front.
Thank you. Was he being paid $100,000 in total to smuggle billions of dollars of dino DNA off of a fucking island?
Is that what I'm
being led to believe?
I believe so.
Bring a 50 up front? Dude, you're a fucking moron, Newman.
Yeah.
I was going to do you the credit of like actually calling your character by the character's name.
No.
But for that shitty ass amount of money for that much fucking genetic technology, get the fuck out of here.
Well, and you're an
idiot.
He keeps talking to Hammond at the park about how shitty his pay is and blah, 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 and whatever. And they get into their little spat. And I'm like, well, you didn't have to take the job.
No, he even says, do you know something about like how low of money I had to do to bid for this job? Yeah. He had to bid to get it.
Yes.
And if you don't know how bids work, you intentionally lowball what you can do in order to earn the job. So
that's on you, bud.
Yeah, like, this is all on you. And I can see why you're such a shitty negotiator, because you're trying to smuggle, again, billions of dollars in research off of an island for $100,000.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson.
Grant and Ellie shit their pants, as everybody does, because they see the first dinosaur and they're all like, let's get closer. Like, they jump out of the Jeep. This is the one thing in the movie that I'm like, dude, listen, I get it. You got hard-ons for dinosaurs. Awesome. Yep. They are gigantic creatures. Stay the fuck in the car. They're getting, like, dangerously close to these creatures. Yeah. And I'm like, if you're that into dinosaurs, and even if you're not, even if you're like, I don't even believe dinosaurs existed, and then you see this giant creature, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get that close. Just FYI. Because you might, I don't know, accidentally get stepped on.
Yes. So that's why we're taking extreme precautions.
This is the one Jeff Goldblum scene where I was like, oh, Jeff. Because he just first sees the dinosaur, and he just starts going, son of a bitch did it. He just starts, like, cackling. And it's so weird because they stay on him for a long amount of time. And if you know how movies are shot, it's not like one take and the camera swept over to him. They literally had to stand him in that Jeep for a second and go, all right, Jeff, ready? Action. Son of a bitch did it. Okay, let's reset. Do it again. He had to do that take probably 5 fucking times. It was so bad. That was the one Jeff Goldblum of all Jeff Goldblum in all of movie history that I was just like, ugh.
They get to the facility, and Hammond takes them through how they created the dinosaurs. They got the blood from the mosquitoes, grabbed the DNA, and then they inserted frog DNA to whatever.
This is the one question I do have, though, and this isn't really like science, but so we learned that frog DNA, frogs are asexual and can reproduce on their own, right? It's actually described almost more hermaphroditic by Dr. Grant, but whatever.
Yeah.
B.D. Wong is this amazing geneticist, right?
Yes.
You don't know how frogs can do their own thing.
And like
they have that much escaped you. That was like the little asterisk in this whole fucking thing.
They have the whole conversation with Jeff Goldblum, like, listen, you created dinosaurs, they're all female, but nature has a way of finding a way.
Right.
And they get into that little back and forth. And even at that point, even if you hadn't even thought of it by that point, as the geneticist, wouldn't you be like, oh shit, we used West African frog DNA. Shit, that might be a problem. Never crossed your mind. Like, even after that conversation. Nope. Cool. Whatever.
Totally fine.
They see one of the eggs hatch as, you know, the creepy ass raptor comes out of the egg, and they're like, oh, it's a baby, coochie coo. I'm like, dude, that's it's already got 3-inch claws coming out of the goddamn egg. Yeah. And again, as Grant being like the dinosaur guy, he's like,
what species is this?
Well, you should fucking know. You're the dinosaur guy. But they say it's a raptor, and they're like, it's fine. We already got 3, and the leader, we had 8, and it killed the other 5. And they're wicked smart, so we put it in this enclosure. We didn't put it down. We put it in this enclosure. And they're so smart that they're walking around. They're doing fucking long division. They're looking for weaknesses in the fence.
Dude.
I got an idea. How about you just drop a grenade in there and fucking be done with it? We just won't do that one.
The learning curve for these animals is unbelievable.
Yes.
Like, they're breeding Stephen Hawking dinosaurs. It's ridiculous how quickly these things are. Like, I understand they're able to learn. Fine. Every animal, to some extent, is able to learn.
Yep.
This is phenomenal. They're learning faster than a human being can learn.
I think the security guy says like, oh, they're 8 months old. They're learning really quick, and the leader killed all the other ones. And I'm like, so in 8 months, these motherfuckers figured out algebra. I'm like, I was fucking 18. I couldn't pass fucking algebra 1. Like,
oh yeah, no. If you need it because it's coming up, tax season's on the way. There are plenty of velociraptors out there that could do your taxes.
Come out to Raptor Tax. Well, we'll do your taxes for you. After this, they go to see the raptor in the cage feeding on the cow. What they did do a great job of here is not showing the raptors early and waiting until later in the film to reveal them. Like, all you see is the trees shaking and cow noises and all that bullshit.
This is such a great job. And this is also a great point, too, I think, to point out. One of the more obvious things is Spielberg was following the Jaws protocol to the fucking letter in this movie.
Yep.
I mean, he's essentially just traded in sharks for dinosaurs, water for ancient land, and here we are.
Oh, there it is.
They have this dinner, and Jeff Goldblum gives his apprehension of what he's seen. And this
is my favorite monologue in the movie. It's
me
fucking
too.
Brilliant.
Jeff Goldblum does such a great job here, and because he's like the chaos theory guy, mathematician, whatever, and he gives his whole apprehension about the park, the like you're playing God, the whole thing, and it's such a great scene. And this is also very Jeff Goldblum. And this is peak Goldblum, and it's
the
great.
mic drop line, which I still use as a mantra for most of my shit, is
but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Dude, I love that line. It's amazing, and he just fucking hit it out of the park. When you talk about actors or whatever being like in that groove. That monologue was him in that groove. He's riding the beat.
John Hammond's grandkids here come to visit to see the park. Great idea, John. I'm trying to get these scientists to sign off on it. I brought Jeff Goldblum in. I brought the lawyer in. The lawyer's already shitting his pants like, we can make billions. And what I'm going to do is before the park is open, not the day before or the week before, they're months away from opening. They're just trying to get the sign off to get this shit going.
Yep.
But I'm going to go ahead before I even know that the car's headlights don't work. They're having all kinds of bugs with security and all this shit from the control room. But let's go ahead and bring my grandkids in so I can show them the cool dinosaur animal things. Stop. And I will say this. Normally, and you and I talk about this, normally, I hate kids in movies, especially right around this age, because they're out of the cute phase,
right?
And they can become a detriment to a movie versus helping move the story along.
Yes,
these kids did not bother me. They didn't bother me back then. They still don't bother me today. I think they both did a really good job. The boy annoyed me a little bit.
And then my teacher told me about this other book by a guy named Backer, and
One, for Hammond, you're thinking of him as if he were a normal human being, as if he were me or you.
That's fair.
Subscribers, that kind of thing. John Hammond is Donald Trump, and he proves, and I'm not saying like, politics. I'm saying from a business standpoint.
Oh yeah, that's
Donald
absolutely
Trump
fair.
He's one of the most ruthless businessmen that has ever existed.
Yes.
John Hammond shows throughout this entire movie that his grandkids are props to sell the scientists on signing off, to sell the lawyer on signing off. Like, look, the kids loved it.
Yeah.
Look how excited the kids were about everything. It's amazing. We spared no expense.
Really spectacular. Spared no expense.
What you're saying about the kids is also true. With them not being annoying. There were a couple points where it's just like, ugh, quit being a fucking kid. And it's also trying to use because as you said, they're out of that Olsen baby. What was her name? Michelle Tanner.
Yeah.
They're out of that phase, like the "you got it, dude" cute phase, as you said. Like, so when they're dropping comedic lines, it's sort of like, ugh, you're prepubescent and it sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how to really deliver that line yet.
Yeah.
That said, I totally related to Timmy. I would have been that kid 100%. Like, if I met my idol in nerddom at that point in time, like if I got to go like walk around a Marvel park with Stan Lee as a kid,
yeah,
dude, there would have been jizz flying everywhere for hours. It would have been embarrassing for everyone involved.
They take a tour of the park. They have the electric vehicles and it's on a track and yada yada. So we're gonna take the tour of the park. Jeff Goldblum here tries to hump Ellie in the Jeep by explaining chaos theory and the butterfly effect. Grant sees a Jeep in the distance with a Triceratops. And again, this goes back to the beginning. Jumps out like, let's go see the fucking Triceratops. And everybody just follows him without questioning.
This was a good Timmy comedic moment, too. Because he sees his hero go off into the bush to track down this mysterious thing. And he's just like, fuck that, I'm going too. Charges right in. I loved that scene.
Yeah. And
yeah, when Goldblum is in the Jeep, though, and he first is like, he's talking to Ellie about chaos theory. He's like, oh, perfect. Because you know this is his move.
Oh,
Every woman he's picked up in his life has gone, what's chaos theory? I don't understand it. And then he gets to like do the little line thing on the touches her shoulder. But then he like starts tugging her hair.
Yeah, that's a creepy go-to move. That's
gnarly,
yeah.
Jeff. You're nasty.
I heard that, you nasty.
They come across this sick Triceratops. Ellie's like got her Triceratops boner. She plays with its shit.
You're a paleobotanist and you're like examining the fucking Triceratops like you're a veterinarian.
Yeah.
You don't know the biology of this animal other than the fact that it's a herbivore and may have eaten a plant that you might know about.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with anything. You should not be near that fucking thing. And then you're like, oh, look, its eyes are dilated. And the vet that's standing right there goes,
Take a look. It's okay. I'll be damned.
First off, you're a shitty fucking vet for somebody that's paid or spared no expense. Because the person that isn't one just noticed that dinosaur's high as shit.
He hired a chiropractor to be the vet for the fucking...
Spared no expense.
She stays with the Triceratops to, I don't know, play with its shit some more. There's a tropical storm coming, and it's headed towards the island. So John Hammond and everybody in the control room try to cut the tour short. Not
John Hammond. They all tell him that they need to cut it short. And he's like, well, let's keep it. He wants it to keep going. And then like when they have to close it down, he's like,
ah! They shut it down 3 seconds before the storm hits the island. Like he's trying to prevent it and hold it and stop it from,
Well, that's because their game warden is also an amateur meteorologist. He's the only one that can communicate weather.
Spared no expense.
He got a multifaceted security guard / weatherman to come in and handle all his shit. So Newman bounces here. He runs the hacking software to shut down the security systems so that he could steal the embryos and leave. The entire park system fails. They try to get it back online as, Samuel L. Jackson smokes his 50th cigarette in this movie.
That's why your systems really went offline. There was no virus put into anything. It's just you're chain smoking fucking Marlboro Reds into a 1993 computer system.
Yes.
What did you think was going to happen?
Spared no expense.
They're trying to get this shit back online as Newman leaves the park, and you get one of the most memorable things, you
didn't say the magic word.
And then the vehicles all stop. They shut down in front of the T-Rex enclosure. And you get the water cup shot here, which is the epic shot.
I paid very close attention to this scene. This scene was fantastic.
Absolutely.
From start to finish, as a kid, I loved it. The bass coming through in the movie theater, I will never forget. First seeing that T-Rex, the sound it made when it growled. Everything about this whole scene was fantastic. So I paid as close attention as I possibly could to make sure with my keen eye that it still held up. Brother, this was amazing still. Dude, this is one of the best scenes in movie history.
This is a great scene. From that, the water cup all the way through the end of this, because you get the lawyer leaves the kids stranded in the vehicle to go into the shitter, and then he gets eaten on the shitter. The only thing that I didn't like then, and I still don't like to this day, and again, goes back to the kids, but you have the dumb fucking kids in the car, dude, and he's like, turn off the light. She turns off the light, and then immediately turns the light back fucking on. The T-Rex is coming in and trying to get through, which apparently it can't get through the plexiglass, but whatever, neither here nor there.
What are you grabbing the flashlight for in the first place?
Yeah.
Serves you no purpose whatsoever. Little Timmy scrambles over the thing, is like, turn off the light, and they can't figure out just one push.
It's a button. Exactly.
And then she's going, I'm sorry. Hi kids, Uncle Corey here. When you have epically fucked up and you've been told how to correct it immediately to save not only your life, but everyone's life that you care about in this situation, don't apologize. Just do what you're being fucking told to do. Just save your sorries for another day. Stuff your sorries in a sack, bro. We'll get back to it. We don't need them.
The T-Rex sends the Jeep over the edge. That whole scene and shot is fantastic. You got Timmy in the tree in the Jeep, and Grant has to go and save him. But it cuts to Newman getting attacked and spit on and eaten by the Dilophosaurus.
When I first saw this, that was the scariest moment in the whole movie for me. Is when its little things came out, and I shit my pants. It did the Leo hiss.
So you get this great T-Rex scene followed up by this scene. It's just like right here, you have it's kind of a slow burn, because for the first hour you don't see shit. It's it's build up and exposition and whatever. But this last hour goes by so fast because it
really does.
It's great scene after great scene. Ellie and the security guy find Jeff Goldblum, the T-Rex attack, and you get the Jeff Goldblum
must go faster
as they take off in the Jeep and they escape the T-Rex.
If you don't have your foot down on the clutch on a stick shift and it's going full speed in gear, you can't just back up into the stick and change gears.
You have to actively work the clutch to get it in gear.
Like it's a whole fluid motion between foot and hand in order to put the car in. So that one part I was just like, that Jeep just blew its transmission. You guys ain't going nowhere.
They cut back to Grant and the kids. They already knew that they used frog DNA, but they discover the eggs. And Grant kind of puts two and two together within 30 fucking seconds of seeing the goddamn eggs that, they're spontaneously changing genders or whatever the hell, and they're laying eggs, and this is how this whole thing works.
Didn't think about it when the actual discussion was happening.
Yes.
But you thought about it when you saw an egg.
Malcolm was right.
But he didn't think about it when he saw the eggs right after they had the conversation and they saw the eggs hatch. But whatever. We'll skip by that. They then decide to shut down the whole park. They're in the control room. Yep. They decide that they're going to shut down the whole park and reboot everything to get it back to bypass this virus or whatever Newman put in the computer.
Yes. But if you've ever worked in IT, you know that this is the
plug it in
basic standard protocol. You will turn it off and turn it back on.
We spared no expense.
But then they have to go to the other side of the park to turn the breakers back on. Two things. One, didn't you just turn the breakers off from right here? You can't turn them back on? Okay, cool. And if that's not how it works, that's fine. This is a flawed fucking design for a park that, like, well, if you turn the breakers off here, you either have to have somebody else across the park to turn the breakers on, or you have to turn them off here and then go there. You got dinosaurs on your fucking property. There shouldn't be that kind of fucking flawed design.
We spared no expense.
And you put your circuit breaker compound next to the fucking raptor pit.
Yes.
Spared no expense.
Ellie and the security guy see that the velociraptors escaped their enclosure. She makes it to the shed to flip the breakers. Meanwhile, the kids and Grant are climbing over the electrical fence. Timmy gets blown off the electrical fence as she's turning shit back on, and Grant saves him. Ellie finds Samuel Jackson's arm as she's trying to get away from the raptor. We finally get to see the raptor here. One of the raptors poke its head out. The security guy gets eaten because he's got the gun and he's just waiting in the forest.
Clever girl.
You're the game warden here.
Yeah.
In Jurassic Park. You've studied these animals. So much so that you know their learning curve. You've watched them evolve inside of the 3 days you've been working here.
Yes.
You don't know how they hunt? Fucking Dr. Grant knows how they hunt. He's only seen bones.
Exactly.
First off, Dr. Grant's Dr. Doolittle for dinosaurs. Period.
Yes.
That's the only way he can get anything he knows here.
Oh, absolutely.
Or he's like dinosaur medium.
They now make it to the main lodge, Grant and the kids. The kids get food, and Grant... Listen, you're getting chased by dinosaurs, and you know that, like, a lot of the shit's down. Dinosaurs are just fucking randomly running around the goddamn park. And you're like, hey, kids.
I'll be back soon. I promise.
How about you take the kids with you? Stop being such a prick. Just take the kids with you, because he goes and finds Ellie. Ellie's like, run! But then she jumps on him and they hug for 10 minutes.
Dude, that pissed me off. Like, if you say run, if you whisper run from like a mile away, I'll hear it. Because I'm a coward and I'm gone.
Yes.
The fact that she's like, run! And then like stops and hugs him. Get the fuck off of me, you nut job.
We can hug tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, the kids, this is where I totally agree with Dr. Grant. Here's why. One, they ain't my fucking kids. They ain't my cousins, they ain't my nephews, they ain't my fucking relation in any way, shape, or form. You saddled me with your problem for the weekend.
We spared no expense.
Two, that's also called bait. As you said, we're being chased by dinosaurs. Things are running amok on this island.
Yes.
And even though I have the uncanny ability to understand what they're thinking and doing, I need to still run away.
Yep.
So you kids sit here because I know through my telepathy powers as psychic Dr. Grant, there are raptors coming. I'm going to Ellie.
But they're eating. They see like the raptor shadow behind them.
She did a good job in this scene where her hands start shaking.
Yeah.
With jealous. She did a really good job in that scene.
They run and hide in the kitchen. This is where, the raptors do long division. They figure out how to open doors. But this scene, when I originally saw it, this scene is like, you could say the T-Rex scene is terrifying. The Newman scene when he gets killed is terrifying. This scene is shot so well and is so creepily scary.
Oh, dude, it's intense.
Like, even to this day.
Intense.
Yeah, even to this day, it makes the hairs on your arms stand up during this whole scene. Like, you're tense.
Yeah, I was having like a physical reaction watching. Like, I keep adjusting in my seat. Like, those little things. It was so brilliantly shot, especially the scene where she's trying to close the slide and the raptors charge her and it ends up being the reflection.
That whole scene, front to back, is awesome. And then Ellie, Grant, and the kids get to the control room. They try to hold the raptor out as Lex, the girl, tries to reboot the system so that we can get the security stuff back up. She gets the security system back on, locks the door, but the raptor still gets in, and they escape through the ceiling. They get cornered by the two raptors, and the T-Rex comes in and eats one of them, and they escape. Hammond picks them up in the Jeep. They all get to the helicopters to leave the island. Hammond gives like the one last turn back and look like, yeah, my babies. And then they leave, end of movie. I've watched all of these Jurassic Parks, especially the first one is so good, and it still holds up. And you could talk about the cinematography and a lot of the really cool things in this movie, but god damn it, the practical effects and the fucking dinosaurs. For 1993, there's movies we've covered and we've done from like 98, 99, where I'm like, the effects are fucking terrible. This was 93, and the practical effects were awesome.
Oh, they were fantastic. And you can tell they're like when they first see the brontosaurus or the bronchosaurus or whatever the fuck they call it, the first dinosaur they see.
Yeah, I just call them dinosaurs. They're all just dinosaurs.
That's good too. You could see that it's a green screen when Grant's pointing at them and like how they like get on their haunches. Like you could tell that's very much a green screen.
Yeah.
The T-Rex was a practical effect. That was a 9,000 pound electrical fucking thing, a la Jaws. And you could tell that made all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
In those scenes.
We spared no expense.
One thing that goes maybe overlooked in this movie is the actual script. I bag on the writers a lot in these movies for character choices.
Yeah.
The writing in this, the monologue opportunities that everyone has through this, Attenborough and Laura Dern, I think is one of the most underrated scenes when they're eating melted ice cream.
Yep.
That scene is beautiful. Just so well paced. Nobody's overdoing anything. It's excellent and has just a great conversation. So much about this movie is awesome. That, like I said at the beginning, if you dwell on the science in this as you're like, wow, this movie sucks because of the science, you're an asshole and you don't deserve to watch the movie anyway.
Okay.
Normally, if there's a movie that's like over 2 hours long, you're like, ugh, there's going to be some parts we can cut out. There really isn't a lot of fat on this movie.
No, there isn't. Like you said, once it gets going, it goes.
Yes.
It doesn't stop. And that's the best part about it, because before you know it, the movie's over.
Yep. And it
really is.
It's like 2 hours and 7 minutes long, I think. And at least the version I watch. You can probably make this 2 hours and 3 minutes if you cut out the 4 minutes of Triceratops shit. Like, that's literally the only fat on this movie that I found. You know what I mean? Just front to back, though, this movie absolutely still holds up.
Oh, you're right, John. You're absolutely right.
Dope. That's all I got. You got anything else for this movie?
No, not for the movie. We're still doing your requests. So keep requesting. We're totally picking them at random. It has nothing to do with our choices or our likes or wants or wishes. So suggest it. We throw it in the pile, and it might just come up next week.
Yeah, that's right.
Other than that, keep commenting. We love it, even when you disagree with us. And that's it.
That's it. This is Kiss the Reviews. For Corey, I'm Armando, and this was 1993's Jurassic Park.
Really spectacular. Spared no expense.